My grandma stole my tax refund check and was on Crime Stopper. Big Barb knew she was wrong. Y'all, I'm back. I got another story time for y'all. This one is real fucking crazy. I'm sure, as y'all can see by the title, we here to figure out what the fuck my grandma was doing on Crime Stoppers. Big Barb had no business being on Crime Stoppers, and I'm here to tell y'all the fucking story. My last video had a couple bitches in their fucking chest. Like, just don't watch my fucking videos if you don't fuck with me. If you don't like what the fuck I gotta say, then that's just what it is. Then stand the fuck up. Like, get out y'all chest. Nonetheless, so we're gonna jump straight into this video. This story takes place when I was 20 years old, so this was some time ago. This is about 7.5 years ago. Okay, at this time I was about 3.5 months pregnant with my son. If you're unfamiliar with me, I have one kid. Unfortunately, he's not here. He didn't make it. So yeah, so I have one kid, and at the time that Big Barb was on Crime Stoppers, this is when this took place, I was about 3.5 months pregnant. Y'all, this year I decided to file my own taxes so I didn't have to owe nobody no fucking money, because like people be like getting the fuck over on people when, and it was just a lot. I wasn't about to give nobody else my personal information. I wasn't cool with the girl who used to do my taxes, and I was just on some shit like, all right, I'm gonna file my own taxes this year. I'm about to get on TurboTax like everybody talking about, and I'm about to do this shit myself, and I'm about to get it done, right? I went ahead and I got on TurboTax. I ended up filing my taxes. Let me remind y'all once again, this is the first time that I filed my taxes by myself, so I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Y'all know how I get to the end where it be like, where do you want your money deposited? I chose to have it put on my debit card. Well, at the time I was fucking slow. I mean, I still am kind of slow, but at the time I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, like I said. So when they asked me where did I want to put my money at, I said my debit card. So when they asked for like the route and account number, y'all, why my slow ass put my goddamn debit card number that's on the front of the fucking debit card, I put that on there like a fucking dummy instead of my actual route and account number. So the IRS basically had hit me up and was like, we can't change it for whatever the fuck, well, for whatever reason that they couldn't change it. So they were like, we have to mail you out a paper check. All right, cool. That's perfectly fine. Yeah, so at that point in time, me and my son's dad, well, he ain't my son's dad no more, because y'all know how shit fall off y'all credit report after like 7 years. So he's falling off my credit and my son not here. Y'all get the point. Anyways, at the time I was staying with my son's dad, and I was kind of living with my mom, but I was more so with him all the time. So where my mom lived at, and for whatever reason, there was no mailboxes. The actual apartment complex that my mom lived in, literally right across the street was the post office. So my mom was on some shit like, you can't have it sitting here because there's no fucking mailbox. For whatever reason, I did not want to send it to my ex's mom's house. I didn't want to send it there. So my mom basically was just like, well, walk over across the street and start up a P.O. box or whatever where you could get your shit sent to. All right, so boom, I go over there and I open up a P.O. box. And I know y'all over here like, girl, what the fuck this got to do with Big Barb, your grandma being on Crime Stoppers? So this motherfucking story about to take a whole fucking turn real quick. I go over there, I create a P.O. box. Let me remind y'all, my grandma has always had a P.O. box her whole fucking life. I am named after my grandma, so when I went over there to create my P.O. box, I'm not thinking nothing of it, because there's a lot of people with the fucking same names all around the fucking city, and somewhere they mail never get mixed up. So nonetheless, I start up the P.O. box, and they had already told me that my taxes, that it was going to take some time, that it was going to take like 4 to 8 weeks for my check to be mailed out to me and stuff like that. So I wasn't even tripping at that point. I'm actually at work one day. I think my son's dad, he reminded me, he was like, damn, like, you still ain't got, you still ain't got your taxes or whatnot. I'll just put this out there as well. So I was about 3 months pregnant. The whole time while I was pregnant, I knew my son wasn't gonna make it. I was already trying to save like the little money and stuff that I could. That way, like, I could give him a burial basically so I could do what I wanted to do when that time came, when it came. So again, this money that I got coming from my taxes, it was honestly, it wasn't even a lot. I think it was almost $2,000. I mean, that is a lot. It was about $2,000. So I had already had it in the back of my head that this is the money that I'm gonna be using to, you know, send my son away. Fast forward, my son dad, he's like, damn, you know, you still ain't got your taxes and stuff. And I'm over here like, dang, you know, it has been, at that point, I believe it had been about 12 weeks. So I'm like, damn, like, you right. Let me go ahead and call them and try to see what's what. I had end up texting my mom and I asked her, did the mailman accidentally put, you know, any of my mail in your post office box or whatever? Because there's been a couple of times where I would have my mail sent to my mom's P.O. box, and for whatever reason, I don't even know why I just didn't do that in the first place, honestly. So my mom's like, yeah, no, I ain't got nothing. So y'all, at this point, the only thing that's going through my mind is I'm named after my grandma. The mailman, because where I lived at, like in that particular area, that mailman has been that mailman since mailman's been mailing. It's in my head at this point, like, maybe the mailman was so used to my grandma being the only Barbara, or maybe he accidentally put my check in my grandma's P.O. box. So that's all I'm thinking. The mailman had to just accidentally, because he see this name every fucking day, all of that. Now all of a sudden it's another Barbara, and he probably just put it in her mailbox by accident. So what did I do? You know, I call her and I'm like, hey granny, you happen to get a check by any chance? I think the mailman probably put my check in your P.O. box or something, because I ain't got it. And the IRS done told me a million times, because you know I was blowing up their phone. I said the IRS done told me a million times that it's been mailed out, it's been mailed out, it's been mailed out. My grandma literally told me on the phone, she was like, girl, no, I ain't got no check, you know, no, didn't get it, not here, not in my box. Go find somebody else to talk to about it, basically. A little bit of time go past, and at that point, my son's dad had not met my grandparents yet. So there was one day where I was on some shit, like, I think we were down in the area, and I had told him, I'm like, I'm about to take you down there to meet my grandma, them, or whatever. And y'all, I gave him this fair warning. I was like, yeah, and when we go up in here, like my grandma and them, if they ask you for something, just ignore it. They not scared to ask nobody for nothing. Like, if they think you got something, they think you got some money, they about to see if they can get it. So I'm telling him, I'm like, yeah, just ignore them if they ask you for anything. I even was like, watch me not be able to walk up out of here without having to give them something, like whether it was money, anything like that. So we pull up to my grandparents' house, we go in. Let me remind y'all, so when I had called her, this is probably about 2 or 3 weeks had gone by, and now I'm down here visiting her. After we get done talking, me and, you know what, I'm just gonna give this man a nickname. We're gonna call him Suicide, and in later videos y'all gonna understand why the fuck we're calling him Suicide. Me and Suicide get in there and we chopping it up with my grandparents and shit, everything going as normal. But it wasn't weird to me at the time, but now that everything has played out the way it played out, it was just fucking weird to me how it ain't even my grandma, it's my grandpa. Ain't nobody asked me for shit. So I'm sitting here like, damn, and I'm saying, he probably looking at me like, girl, you just be talking shit, because I do be talking shit. He like, girl, they ain't asked you for nothing, you just be talking shit, don't do them like that. And when we got in the car, I told him, I was like, nigga, this is the first fucking time that I've ever been over here and they have not asked me for anything. So we leave, right? Now at this point, about another 2 weeks has passed. So now I'm getting worried. I'm like, where is my money? Like, I want my money. Like, IRS, do y'all want me to come get it? I could pull up. Do y'all want me to print it myself? Y'all could send me a fucking email link at this point. I'll print that bitch off myself. So I call the IRS, and I remember this day vividly. So I text my mom, and I text her, and I'm like, hey, my taxes still ain't came, man. I ain't got no mail, I ain't got nothing. Like, what you think is going on? My mom literally texted me back, and which was weird, and was like, maybe you just need to report it as lost or stolen, or, you know, something like that, so they could just remail out another one and see if that one comes quicker. I'm on the phone with the IRS, and I'm asking them, I'm like, can y'all trace it? Is there anything that y'all could do? Could y'all just stop payment on that one and send me another one? Do y'all want me to come to Lincoln and get it? Because I'll come. So the lady on the phone, she's like verifying all my information, and she was like, wait, you sure you didn't get it? And I'm like, girl, I would have known if I got my money. I didn't get my money, bitch. I got shit to do. Send me my money. She's like, well, in our system, it's showing that you got the check and that the check was cashed. It's showing you that I got the check and that I cashed the check. I said, no. Y'all, I literally told her on the phone, I said, maybe you done pulled up my grandma account because we got the same name or something. Let me re-give you this information. I want you to go type that shit in that fucking computer, because I didn't get that check. So she re-verifies everything, and she's like, we sent it out and it does show that the check was cashed on this day. So now I'm confused. I'm like, what the fuck do you mean? I explained to her my situation. I'm like, I really need this money. I'm banking on this money because let me tell y'all something. When I was pregnant, I was not working like that. Like, my pregnancy was so fucking bad. A normal woman goes to the fucking doctor visits or whatever it is, maybe once a month when they pregnant. A lot of the times I had doctors visit every fucking week my whole pregnancy. So like, I kept passing out at work and they kept finding me in the bathroom stalls and shit, slobbering and shit. Like, I was fucked up my pregnancy, so I ain't have no money and I needed this fucking money. I'm on the phone with the lady and I'm like, well, what do you mean it's cash? Like, I'm not the one that cashed it. Could y'all investigate this and send me out another one in the fucking meantime or something, because this is crazy. She's basically telling me like, you know, well, since you're saying that you didn't get it, we'll report it as stolen and all this other stuff, and telling me how it could take up to 20 weeks for them to do a full investigation before they can mail me out anything. And I ain't having that. I'm not having it. It's my money and I need it now. So I'm asking her questions like, okay, well, when was it cashed? She told me the day that it was cashed. She wasn't supposed to, but she actually ended up telling me where it was cashed at. She was like, well, it was cashed at a payday loan place. And I'm like, well, which one? And she was like, well, I can't tell you that because I already wasn't supposed to tell you where it was cashed at, period. So I can't tell you the location. So I hang up the phone with her because, see, one thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put two and two together. So I get off the phone with this lady, y'all, and I start calling around to all the payday loan places where I live at because I need to figure out where the fuck this check was cashed at. I ends up calling one payday loan and I'm like, is this the, and I played it off. I didn't tell them what was going on or anything. I was like, I cashed a check with you guys and I'm trying to figure out which location it was because the lady in there was super fucking nice and all this extra shit, y'all. Just playing my part on the phone because I'm about to get down to the bottom of this because what you're talking about. So the dude on the phone, he was like, oh no, it wasn't this location. It was the location at such and such. So I'm like, okay, I know the day it was cashed, I know the time it was cashed, and now I know exactly where the fuck the check was cashed at. Me and Suicide, we find our way down to the actual location because it was cashed at a place that's inside of a pawn shop. So me and Suicide, we go to the pawn shop, and the lady at the counter at the payday loan place, she wasn't trying to give me no information. She's like, well, we're stationed in here, so like cameras and all of that, you have to go ask the people that own the actual pawn shop. Me and Suicide starts talking to the manager of the pawn shop and stuff. I ran down the situation and he basically was like, yeah, I could go pull those cameras for you right now. Give me about 10 minutes. We gonna go to the back and we about to pull these cameras to see who got you fucked up. We go to the back to see who had me fucked up, right? It's in my heart, y'all. My heart is beating so fast this whole time. So fucking fast. My heart is out of my chest at this point because it was like, I forgot the exact day, but let's say that it was April 3rd that it was cashed. He was on date April 2nd and I knew it was coming up. So he's like, okay, here we are, we're at this date now, what time was it? So he enters the time, y'all, and he pulls up the video. After he entered the time and pulled up the fucking video, y'all, guess who the fuck walked in and cashed my check? Mine. Y'all, my fucking grandma got my check, walked in this place and cashed my check. And again, if y'all don't remember, she was only able to cash that check because I'm named after her. We have the same name. So if she just hand them her ID, hand them the check, they not about to do none of that. They about to just give, they gave Big Barb my big bucks. They gave Big Barb my big bucks. And y'all, when I seen her walk through that door, and at the same time as he's showing me the video, I'm recording it with my phone because nobody was gonna fucking believe this shit. So I'm just like, are you fucking serious? Have y'all ever been so mad to where you couldn't even be mad? I bust out laughing. Suicide looking at me crazy like, bitch, like your grams is caught red-handed with your check. You broke, we need this money, and you laughing? I was laughing because I was laughing. It was just so fucking crazy because I did not expect that. First of all, because I didn't already called her, and I did forget to mention too that when I opened the P.O. box, remember I told you I was thinking like, oh, well, she has a P.O. box and now I'm opening the P.O. box with the same name. I had already called her the first time I called her and basically told her, I was like, I just opened up a P.O. box, so you know, if I accidentally get any of your mail or you accidentally get any of my mail, just be on the lookout. And then I called her again weeks later, like a month later, and I asked her, did she get my check by accident? And that's when she said no. Big Barb, you got that goddamn check, and you got it. You got me. You got my ass. You got my black ass. Good. Like, I'm in a car, like, I don't know what to do. So I ends up calling my favorite cousin, whole fucking wide world. As me and Suicide left, we get in the car. I don't know what to do. He don't know what to do because we both was just dumb. I end up calling my cousin. I end up pulling up to her house or whatever because this is her grams too. We gonna deal with this accordingly. And like I said, I was young at that time. My cousin was probably about 25. She had a little bit more her mental than I did. So I pull up and I'm talking to her, and she didn't know what the fuck to do either. But her baby daddy, my cousin baby daddy said, and I'll just say this, he could talk like this because he's been in the family since we were kids. Like, so he's like, nah, fuck that. Call Granny right now because Granny got you fucked up. He takes my fucking phone and he dials her fucking number, and he's coaching me, y'all. So I'm on the phone like this. I'm like, hello. And he in the background said, ask her what she doing. I said, what you doing, Granny? She's like, oh, nothing. I'm at the hospital with your grandpa. And of course I made sure everything was good with my grandpa before, you know, all of that. So he's like, my cousin baby daddy in the background, like, ask her now, tell her you got her on. So basically I'm like, so you remember when I called you and I asked you, did you accidentally get my tax refund check? She was like, yeah, I remember. Did you ever figure it out? I said, I did, and I do got you on camera inside of the pawn shop cashing my check. Y'all, the phone went complete silent. The phone fucking went silent as fuck. It went silent. About 20 seconds go by. Y'all, why the fuck my grandma gonna say? She said, damn, I'm sorry. Sorry? So, fast forward, literally, when I say that was all of our phone conversation, that was literally all of our fucking phone conversation. There was nothing else. She said sorry, and I literally said, what do you mean sorry? And I literally hung the phone up. I asked my grandma a million times. I'm like, hey, we could just call it even if you just pay me back. You don't even have to pay it all to me like at once, just pay me back. And it's something that she, I guess, wasn't willing to do. So like I told her, I was like, well, in order for me to get my check and I need my money right now, I have to call the IRS like I did, and we're gonna have to speed this investigation up. Y'all, anybody can say what the fuck they want to say. Oh, that's some snitch shit, whatever the fuck the case may be. And I actually did not give up her name. And I'm looking at it like this. I'm pregnant. My son is dying. Fuck everybody the fuck else. Had this been just me not pregnant, whatever, I probably would have charged it to the fucking games, and Grams was gonna have to run it when she see me. My grandma she would have beat my ass. That motherfucker could fight. Like, she could fight for real. But y'all get the point. Gramps was just gonna have to take that up with me. What I do is I call the IRS, and I basically was like, I know y'all said y'all investigations take X, Y, and Z amount of weeks or whatever, but I figured this shit out in 2 days. This is what I got. And like I said, I did not give them my grandma's name. I literally just said I did some investigating on my own. I found out where it was cashed at. I went down there, and basically they could have somebody on camera cashing a check, and it wasn't me. It wasn't me, and I need my big bucks. It wasn't me. I got the person, whoever it is, on camera. It wasn't me. Maybe about 2 months later, because I was so inconvenienced and I felt like my grandma had me fucked up, I basically was trying to get some money out of her, even though they were still trying to send me a check. So I'm telling her, like, I still want my money. You're gonna have to pay me that and all this extra shit. And I mean, she still never did it or whatever, but that's just where we was at with it. Now about 2 months later, me and Suicide, we in the house, we chilling. Actually, we was in the house trying to kill each other. That's what the fuck we was trying to do. We was in the house about to kill each other, right? And let me remind y'all, I hadn't talked to nobody. My phone started ringing. It was a coworker of mine, and I was confused as to why she was calling me. And I'm like, she'll never call me, like something got to be wrong. So I answered the phone midway throwing a knife at Suicide. So I answered the phone, and she's like, turn to the fucking news. Turn to the news right now. And I'm like, huh? But when I turn the TV on, the news story is off. She's like, your grandmom's was just on Crime Stoppers. And I'm like, my grandma was on Crime Stoppers? What you mean my grandma was on Crime Stoppers? She was like, I swear, she was like, y'all got the same name, right? And I'm like, yeah. She was like, a bigger dark-skinned lady. And I'm like, you talking to me? You talking to me? Yeah, that's her. She's like, yeah. I said, well, what's she on Crime Stoppers for? And she was like, bitch, the story you was telling me about when she stole your check. I fell the fuck out. That shit was so funny that me and Suicide was literally trying to kill each other. We both looked at each other and started dying. Like, the shit was fucking funny as fuck. We over here, like, I hang up with my coworker, and I'm asking Suicide, I'm like, well, what the fuck do we do? He said, well, shit, did you get your money? Do you want some more money? Let's see if they put a fucking reward out for Grams, because if they put a reward out, I'm about to collect my 200 and pass go. Well, nonetheless, I really wasn't gonna turn my grandmom's in for no shit like that. It was just funny to me how she literally was on Crime Stoppers, and how they was fucking lying on me. Fucking news article and shit talking about they talked to me and talked to her, and she said she was never giving it the fuck back, and that it was fuck me and all this extra shit. And y'all, the shit was just so fucking crazy. So before anybody could turn her ass in, they ended up catching her. You know, public records, if you got a warrant or anything like that, they could look up easily where the fuck you live at and some more shit. So they ends up catching up to her, arresting her. They let her go. Her consequences is her consequences. We ain't here to talk about that shit. But it was just funny to me how, like, y'all really put my grams on Crime Stoppers. I know I was talking shit to her and threatening her and shit, but I wasn't about to really turn Grams in. I wasn't about to do grandma like that. Like, even though she did me like that, I was not about to do her like that. And to me, I guess the whole situation, my feelings was hurt for a couple of reasons, because I don't give a fuck what none of my cousins say, and I don't care if y'all watching this. Everybody know that I was Barbara's favorite. So I was your favorite grandkid. You stole from me. Not only did you steal from me, you stole from my son. And not only did you steal from my son, I could not bury my son because I was broke. And that was the money that I was relying on to bury my son. And you lied to me, said that you didn't get the check, said you had nothing to do with it, all this extra shit. And I was wondering, y'all, back to that day me and Suicide went to Granny house, and she wasn't asking me for no fucking money. I looked at the dates and I pieced everything together. The reason why she wasn't asking me for no money is because 2 days before I came over her house, she had already cashed my check. You had money. That's why you ain't asked me for nothing. So yeah, y'all, that is a story about how my grandma, what the fuck, was on Crime Stoppers, knowing her ass had no fucking business on crimes. You had no business stealing from me, but you also had no fucking business on nobody's fucking Crime Stoppers. And it just goes to show y'all that it doesn't matter how you're tied to a person. If a person want to do you dirty, by all means, they gonna do just that. And I tell these stories because a lot of people can relate. A lot of people go through some of the same shit, and a lot of people don't talk about certain stuff. And these stories are not just me telling y'all these stories just because, oh, I'm bored and I don't have anything to do. Like I said, this is strictly, it is definitely an entertainment thing. My stories are very, you know, entertaining. But like I said, you also help people that's scared to speak up and voice certain shit when you tell your stories and things like this. And like I said, a lot of fucking people can relate to a lot that people go through. And it just, like I said, it goes to show you, to summarize this up, family ain't shit. Family ain't shit. I'm about to go eat. I'm about to go in the house. My girlfriend is cooking me some good food. But yeah, y'all, that is a story about how my grandma stole my tax refund check and was on Crime Stoppers. Big Barb knew she was wrong. Big Barb knew she was wrong. And that is the story. And thank y'all so much for watching my video. If you haven't already, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know how y'all would have handled this situation. Would y'all have handled it differently? Would y'all have went about it the way that I went about it? Let me know down below. Like I said, I wasn't about to fight Big Barb because I was gonna get beat up.